Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Covert Knits podcast. My name is Abigail Covert. Thank you so much for joining me today. This is my knitting podcast where I talk all about my current projects, my current finished objects, any new yarn or stash enhancement I have, and then anything that strikes my fancy. Thank you so much for stopping by and checking out my channel. I want to take a minute to thank all of the new subscribers that we have. We did hit 200 subscribers this week, so that is awesome. I never thought I'd have more than just my immediate family watching, so thank you again for anybody who's taken a moment to check out the podcast and hit that subscribe button. I also want to take a moment to thank a few podcasters out there who have mentioned my podcast on theirs. I want to start with Amy at Happy Little Yarns, and Jen from the Downseller Studio. That's an audio podcast. If you haven't listened to that one, check that one out. The guys over at Needles at the Ready, Kevin and Ray, they've mentioned my podcast several times. And Corey over at I Rock Knits was so kind to mention me in her most recent podcast. I think that, I'm forgetting the Main Yarn podcast, Jen and Julie. They're also an audio podcast, and they had me on their podcast a few weeks ago to chat about yarn and our current projects. So that was a lot of fun. So again, thank you to all of those people who've mentioned me or taken the time to reach out to me. I really appreciate it. It's one of the best things about this community. We do have a few things to chat about today, but before we get started, I'm going to take a minute to talk about something I feel is really important. And I'm going to read from my phone because I wrote it out so that I didn't miss anything. So we're going to talk for just a second about racism. First and foremost, Black Lives Matter. Period. That's it. If you feel you need to comment something along the lines of all lives matter, please don't. Second, white people, we need to do better. We need to be better. We need to donate better. We need to call in and call out better. We need to read better, and we need to listen better. We need to vote better, and we need to be better humans. I'm not an expert, but I don't have to be to know that the systemic racism in this country is killing Black people. Black men are being murdered by police and civilians. Black trans people are being murdered. Black women are being murdered. Black children are being murdered. None of this is acceptable, and we need to make changes to the system now so that not one more life, Black life, is murdered because they are Black. You can make donations to organizations that are working directly towards dismantling the corrupt system that we've built. You can read books by Black authors about racism and the Black experience. You can follow Black social media influencers who have quite a bit to say on these topics. You can shop at Black-owned businesses, and you can vote for Black candidates. Finally, if what I'm saying here is a problem for you, I ask that you please see yourself out. I will continue to stand on my soapbox and shout from the rooftops that Black Lives Matter. This will not be the last time I speak about this. And again, if that's a problem, then this is not the space for you. I will be linking several places that you can donate and just important informational links below the video. There's a lot of information out there. It is your job as a white person to go find it. It is not your job as a white person to ask your Black friends and family where to find it. If you have questions and you feel like you want to reach out to me, please do so in the comments, in private message. That's fine. Be respectful of everyone, but I'm very firm on my stance here, and I will not be persuaded, and I will not argue senselessly with people who disagree with me. Okay, so that's really important. I wanted to say it right here at the top of my podcast, because we can't ignore what's going on. While we might knit to help us through the struggles, we can't just go back to knitting. It's really important that we talk about these issues, not only how they affect our knitting community, but the community surrounding us, and that we stand up and we put ourselves between Black bodies and harm. Okay. So that's what I'm going to say about that today. Again, please feel free to reach out, and this probably will not be the last time you hear from me on this subject. Today, we are going to chat a little bit about what I'm wearing. We are going to talk about my 1FO. I have 2 works in progress that we'll chat just a little bit about. And then I don't really have any goals for the week that don't pertain to my knit along that starts tomorrow. So we're going to chat quite a bit about that. I don't have any stash enhancement this week. So let's go ahead and get started. First, I am wearing my Turtle Dove sweater. It is a free pattern from the ladies up at Espace Tricot in Montreal. I knit this using Woolfolk Luft in colorway 10. It's this kind of creamy beigey color. I will stand up so you can kind of see it here. It's got a split hem. Excuse the belly shot. Okay. It's very warm. So this will probably be the last time I put this on until the fall, but I do love this. It's so soft. The Woolfolk is at a very it's a higher price point yarn. This was yarn that I purchased when I was visiting Espace Tricot for trip. It was souvenir yarn, and it definitely is not something that is in my budget all the time, but I really am thankful that I was able to purchase it, because it did make really one of the softest sweaters I've ever knit. So it is very comfortable. It's got this beautiful turtleneck, which I have no neck, so it doesn't really do the job, but I like it. So that is what I'm wearing today. Next, we're gonna go into finished objects. I have one. I finished my pair of socks that I had on the needles. So here we go. It's got both of them here. These are the Mina's 2 at a time socks by the Knitting Expat Designs, Mina Philipp. And I knit these 2 at a time, cuff down, 64 stitches on 2.5 millimeter, which is a US 1.5 needle, with a German short row heel and a modified rounded heel, or rounded toe. I used the Patton's Croy FX socks in the Clover colors, which I really like how those, and I looked how they look together. I did look at the ball bands. I used 2 different balls. They're each 50 gram skeins. I did look at the ball bands after I knit, and they were completely different dye lots. Purchased at the same time, but completely different dye lots. So they are quite a bit different, but that's okay. I'm fine with fraternal socks as opposed to identical. So those are my 2 at a time socks. And they were the last pair of socks I was going to finish before the knit along, and I got them done. And I'm excited. They're a little thick. They won't be, again, these will be going into the bin for fall. It's getting a little bit too warm here in Nebraska to be wearing wool socks, but they're great, and I love them, and I can't wait to wear them. So that's finished object. Next, we're going to talk about my whips. I have 2. So the first whip I have is my City Limit sweater. This is a pattern by Tanis Lavallee of Tanis Fiber Arts. And I'm sure lots of you have seen it. It's all over the social media and knitting social media. So here it is. So it's a top-down raglan pullover that you can wear inside out if you want, so that the reverse stockinette is showing, or you can leave it so that the stockinette is showing. It's got this detailing along the sides and down the raglans, which I like. And again, if you wear it wrong side out, you've got detailing there as well. It is a marled sweater. I'm using 6 colors of Sweet Georgia Yarns Tough Love Sock. From what I've got started on here so far is linen, basil, goldmine, grapefruit, and the last one on here so far is cayenne. I have one more color. It'll be a red. It's the China Doll colorway that will be the final color of the body. So this sweater is taking me a little bit of time because as I've been knitting along, I've realized that I do not have enough yarn for the sleeves. To make it full length sleeves. With what's left, I don't have enough. I feel like this is partially my issue because if you've watched before, you know I don't swatch for sweaters. So that's me, that I didn't swatch to make sure that I had enough yarn. But also I've seen quite a few people have an issue with not having enough yarn to make full length sleeves. So I know that part of that's just in the pattern. It's a great pattern, but that does appear to be one of the issues with the pattern. I'm still deciding if I'm going to try and use another color or do a small modified cap sleeve or what I'm going to do. So when I pick this back up in July after my knit along, I will decide what I'm going to do. I'm hoping to get a little bit further on the body today before I cast on tomorrow, because again, all knitting will be set aside except for knit along knitting for the month of June. So that is my City Limit sweater. It is 2 fingering weights held together, so it's a worsted weight. It is knit on size, I think I'm knitting this on, I think I'm knitting it on 7s or 8s. I'm not sure. Whatever the pattern called for, because again, I don't swatch, so I just use whatever's in the pattern. And I'm loving how it looks. I'm loving the marling. I'm loving the colors I'm using. I can't wait to add the 4th color in. So I'm really happy with how the sweater looks. I'm just disappointed that my sleeves are not going to be what I thought they were. So I'm going to have to figure that out. Okay, so that is my City Limit sweater. I've been working away on that. That's gotten most of the work this week. When I had time for knitting, that was what I worked on. I do have one more work in progress that I started this week. It's been a rough week, as we all know. And sometimes when that happens, I need to knit something mindless. And for me, mindless is hats. So I have started another, what I'm calling quarantine hatageddon. This is my 8th hat, I believe, that I've knit while in quarantine. Just using leftover scraps. So I use a size 6. I cast on, this is worsted weight yarn, so I cast on 88 stitches. Did 2x2 ribbing for about 1 inch, switched over to size 7s and then stocking it up, and then I'll do a rapid decrease at the crown. I'm using all Malabrigo Rios leftovers for this. So far the gray is Plomo, the reddish color is Cumparsita, and then the next color I'm adding in here is this Denim, that's what's the colorway called, is Denim. So that'll go next. And that, I'm hoping this is just going to be a beanie style. So I think I'll be able to finish the hat with that. If not, then I will switch to, I have a little bit left of a green. So again, I'm just literally using up as much as I can of the scraps and getting hats. These will be charity or gift knitting that I give out during the holiday season. And they're just mind cleansing projects to help me. I find that knitting can be meditative for me. If I feel that I really need to think on something, having a project like this where it's a default, I know what I'm doing, really helps me to be able to think and clear my mind and formulate, my thoughts, put together my thoughts on different subjects or what's going on in my life or in the world. So that's what I use these hats for. They've been really helpful during quarantine. I would urge people to find something like this that helps. I know a lot of people knit dishcloths. I do that too. That's my other go-to. Hats, something really simple. Socks and the body of the sweater are also very simple, but they do require me to pay a little bit more attention than a hat, especially one that I'm just using up leftovers, and I can literally just knit till the yarn is gone. So that's my quarantine hat again, number 8 or 9, I'm not sure. All right. So that's the knitting content for today. I do have a few things I want to talk about in regards to the knit along, which starts tomorrow, June 1st. So I'm hosting my first knit along. It is the Pride Sockathon 2020. And the idea is that between June 1st and June 30th, you cast on a pair of rainbow themed socks any version of the rainbow that you would like, and hashtag it Pride Sockathon 2020 on Instagram, and I will pick prizes on the 30th probably July 1st, from the hashtag. I have 2 prizes, so let's share those first. One I've shared before. It is this skein of Pansexual Pride from To The Max Yarn Company. Get a close up of that. I love this yarn. I'm kind of sad I'm giving it away, but it's beautiful. So that is one of my prizes. The other prize, I'll put a picture up here, is from designer Matt Akers. He is makers_knitting on Instagram. Again, he'll be linked in the description box below. He has donated he has created an ebook of 8 Pride related patterns of sock patterns. He has donated a copy of the ebook. The ebook will be available for purchase tomorrow, June 1st. And then throughout the month, he will be releasing the patterns singly. So if you only wanted to buy one pattern, he'll be doing the release of that during the month. He will release a schedule tomorrow of when each pattern will go live. So if you want to just buy one pattern. But he has donated a copy of all 8 patterns, the ebook, as a prize for our knit along. That is the second prize. I'm very excited about that. I can't wait to go purchase the ebook tomorrow and see all of the different patterns. Matt is a relatively new designer. He's got a couple pairs of socks out, and I think he's testing some shawls right now. So anyway, I urge you to go check him out and to take a look at the patterns, and I'm very excited that he was willing to donate a copy of his pattern book. So those are the 2 prizes. I did talk a little bit last week about yarns. I had everybody voting. I had 4 yarns picked out from my rainbow yarn stash of what my first cast on should be. And so I had people voting. We'll do a quick recap here. So option 1 was this beautiful Lola bean. Option 2 is this mustache yarn. Option 3 was this rainbow yarn ink. And option 4 was these matchy turtle pearl yarns. So these were my 4 options, and I do want to stress that even if the option you picked didn't win, it will still get knit up during the month. But the winner was mustache yarn, so this will be the one that I wind up and get ready to cast on tomorrow. I'm very excited. I have a lot of mustache yarns in my stash, but I have never knit with it. So that'll be my first cast on. And then these will come after. So while all of you are knitting a pair of rainbow themed socks for the month of June, my knit along for myself is a little bit different. I will be attempting to knit as many pairs of rainbow themed socks as I can during the month of June, which is Pride Month here in the US. And for every pair that I complete, I will be donating $25 to the Trevor Project. Last year I completed 6 pairs and made a donation of $150. I hope to meet that this year, if not exceed that. I did want to really quick make a note that Matt Akers, who donated the knitting or the patterns, each purchase of those patterns during the month of June, 25% of that will also be going to the Trevor Project, which I think is awesome. So thank you, Matt, for doing that as well. So, so that's my goal for the month of June. All other knitting will kind of cease to exist for starting tomorrow morning until the end of day, June 30th. So if you are not a sock knitter and do not care about sock knitting, my podcast for the next few weeks will probably not be of interest to you. Also, I will probably mostly be posting about socks on my Instagram. So that is the plan. I'm very excited. I did this last year. I loved it. I really enjoyed it. And I have a huge stash of rainbow yarn. So I'm really excited to be able to use some of that up during the month, and also promote Pride and everything that stands for. So Pride is intersectional. Please remember that this month. Please note that I understand that corporations have taken over the rainbow and make money off of the LGBTQIA community in ways that I don't agree with, but I do feel that the rainbow is an important symbol, and that it means a lot to me personally. Before I came out, rainbows were a major part of my life, and they continue to be even now that I'm an out queer person in the community. So, rainbows, June, here we come. I'm very excited. Can't wait. It's nice to have something to look forward to during quarantine and everything else that's going on right now. So, that'll be my cast on tomorrow morning. All right. I think that's about it for today. Please, everyone, be safe. Take care of yourselves. Try to take a few moments to enjoy your knitting if you're able to. And I will talk to you soon. Have a great week.